Okay, recording is also started. All right. So as I was discussing yesterday, so today we shall take a look at the Selenium IDE. Okay. So what is this IDE? If you want to create a quick bug reproduction script, okay, create scripts to aid in automation aided exploratory testing. I mean, it is just a random script that you want to generate, a small script, which, I mean, we are not generating that we can reuse it for a long time. It is just like a on the fly we will create, use it for some time and discard it. Such kind of usage, I mean usage scenarios, we can go for this IDE. Okay. And what Selenium is claiming is this can be used on Chrome, Firefox, and Edge browsers. It is not available on every possible browser as this WebDriver is. Actually, when this IDE started, it started only on the Firefox. So it will work the best in this Firefox. It may or may not work that much efficiently in other two browsers. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to add it as an add-on inside this browser. And if I go to this detailed explanation what Selenium is giving, it is a ready to use IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. That means it comes with an UI. And how will it look like? It looks something like this. Okay. So here we can actually select the options, whatever is there, and use them as per our requirement. Okay. So, I mean, it's not just that we can create some reusable components in them. We can call these reusable components in other scripts, so on and so forth is there. We can actually put some conditions as well. If a particular condition holds good, then you execute this particular step. If not, you skip this one and continue further. Okay. I mean, it is giving us a little bit of flexibility, but as I said, it is not for an extended usage here. It is only for a rough, I mean, creating a rough script and using it for some time and discarding it. This will not help us to carry out all our end-to-end automation. It may not support a very complex scenario, but it would definitely support some basic functionalities, basic features testing. And more importantly, it is very good for anyone who starts learning Selenium. It will give us an insight how Selenium will work. Okay. So in order to work with this IDE, I will be using this website. Okay. This is a practice website. We can use it as, as per our requirement. It would not generate any security alerts or warnings for any of these web servers. Okay, so they have given this username password. If I can basically use this and log in, it is an uh, it is basically like our Amazon and Flipkart. We can add some items into the cart. We can continue the flow till we check out. Okay, so we shall use this particular application and try to record some automated scripts using that IDE. Okay. So as they're telling, this will be an add-on or a plugin to our browser. Okay. I'm currently using this Chrome browser. So let me try to install this plugin into this browser. Okay. So we have to go for this Chrome Web Store and this is the IDE. But as you can see, this is disabled here. Okay. And the reason they are giving is this extension is no longer available because it doesn't follow best practices for Chrome extensions. So what we can understand here is Chrome is expecting some best standard to be followed by the Selenium people whenever they are developing this plugin, and they have not followed those things. And that is why as of today, Chrome is not allowing this to be added as an extension. See, these kind of issues keep on happening whenever we work with open source softwares. Whether it is Selenium, it is Appium, Rest Assured, Playwright, Cypress, whatever it is. Okay. So maybe after 1 or 2 days, this issue might get resolved and you will be able to add it. Same might happen with any other browser as well, Firefox or Edge browser. So basically, Selenium is a different entity, Chrome is a different entity. Now they have to work together. So there must be some understanding between them that both of them have to follow certain best practices, which currently Selenium is not following. Okay, so eventually they are going to fix it, and these both of these entities will come together and work properly. So until then, we have to go for the other alternative. So what I'll do is I'll go for Firefox. Okay, so this is a Firefox browser, and let me search for the same thing. Selenium IDE for Firefox. Okay, so now let me try to add it. I mean, I have already added it. That is why it is asking me to remove. So what I can do is I can basically remove this extension. It's just like any other extension that we add. We just have to add it. Okay. So for best usage experience, we will have to relaunch the browser after adding any extension. Okay, so let me quit it completely and let me relaunch it. Okay, so I mean I added this plugin. Now let me start this plugin. Okay, all right. So this is the UI that I was talking about. Okay, so any tool that comes with such UI is definitely easy for usage. We can clearly understand what to do and where to do. If any tool doesn't come with such UI, then we will have to understand the tool properly, then start using it. Okay, we will have to basically learn the commands, the APIs that are integrated with the tool. And ironically, Selenium has both the components. This is the component wherein it is actually giving us an UI. Okay, and there is one more powerful component, the WebDriver, wherein there will be no such UI. Okay, so we basically want to record a new test in a new project, but what we can do is we can first create a new project here. Okay, let me give a name to it, demo. So let me give demo 1. Okay, so this project is demo 1 now. Okay, under the project, what we will be having, we will be creating multiple test suites. Under the test suite, we will create our test cases. Okay, so if I click on this plus button, it is asking me to add a new test. Okay, and I can basically select, I mean, I can create a suite as well, something like this. By default, it is giving the name as default suite. I can change it to demo suite 1. Okay, and under this demo suite, I can add a test. Okay, demo test 1. So this is how the hierarchy would be. So we need to create a project first. Under the project, we will have to create a test suite. Under the suite, we will be creating our test cases. Okay. All right. So this is, I mean, it is giving an IDE, so we can easily do these things. If there is no IDE present, no UI present, then basically we will have to define this structure by our own. That is where we will be requiring a framework. Okay. Okay, that's a different discussion. But now what we have to do is, as I said, I will be working with this particular application. Okay. So I will copy this application's URL and okay, where is that IDE now? Okay. This one, not this one. Okay, let me come here and let me see it. Okay. All right. So I need to just paste the URL here. Okay. So what it is telling, playback base URL. I mean, when I start the recorder, it will go to this URL. This is like the base URL. So after pasting this URL, I have to click on this record button. Okay. It is telling start the recording. So I will just click on this. So now what happened is it has actually launched a Chrome browser instance. Who is launching this? Selenium is launching this. And at the right bottom corner, you can see a toast message saying that Selenium IDE is recording. So that means the recorder has already started. Now, whatever action I do on this website, it will capture those steps. Okay. So what I will do is I will first click on this username text box and type the username. Okay. And now I will click on this password text box and type the password. Okay, this username and password is just available in this website itself. So I typed them. Now I will click on this login button. Okay, so this pop-up save password for sosdemo.com, this is coming from the browser, not from the web application. So Selenium will not capture these interactions. It will only capture the interactions that we are performing on the web application. Okay. So now what I did, I entered username, I entered password, I clicked on the login button. Let's say I just wanted to test this one. I wanted to log in into the application and I wanted to see whether login is happening or not. So what I will do, I will close this particular browser window and I will come here and I will stop the recording. Okay. So now it is asking me to give a name. The earlier things, whatever we created, the project, the test suite, the test case, it is not saving, within that suite, it is just saving it somewhere else. Okay. But that's fine, wherever it can save for now. Okay. So it saved it in a different place. So that is why I had to rename it. Okay. But what we need to be observing is this part. Okay. See, whatever actions I performed, they have been captured as steps by Selenium here. Okay. So this would be the case in any record and playback tool. There are a host of such tools in the market, not just Selenium IDE. There are some open source tools, there are some paid tools, there are some actually very good tools wherein using which you can actually carry out your entire automation, but they are commercial tools. Okay. So now first step I did is I opened this particular URL. Okay. Then what I did, that particular Firefox instance that was opened by this IDE, I resized that one. This particular resolution, I dragged it. Okay. Then I clicked on the username text box. I typed on it. I clicked on a password text box. I typed on it. And then I clicked on the login button. Then I closed the browser window. All the actions that I performed, it has automatically captured. Okay. And we can see what operation I did, click I did, type I did. And there is under this target section, you can see some entries here. Okay. So this we call as locators. What locators will do? Locators are like the address of those web elements. Username text box is a web element. How Selenium will know to go to that particular text box? This will be the address for it. This CSS equal to star bracket open data test equal to username. This will be like an address. Okay. And this in Selenium terminologies, we call it as a locator. Okay. So it has to basically locate this web element, and what it has to do, it has to type What it has to type? It has to type this particular piece of information, standard user. So this is very much readable. I am basically locating this element using this address and I'm doing certain operation. Either I'm typing on it or clicking on it. Okay, so it has captured all these steps. Now, if I want to rerun these steps, okay, all that I have to do is I have to just click on this run button. See, I mean, it actually executed, but the execution was so fast we could not see it properly. Okay, I will once again run it. It launched the browser, it entered both username and password, and it closed it. Since we are not able to see it properly, what I can do is I can add one step manually. All these steps are recorded steps. Now what I will do is I will add one step manually. After I enter the username, I will wait for 2 or 3 seconds. Okay. So what I will do, I will insert a new command. Okay. And what this command is going to be, if you click on this drop down, you can see all available options here. Okay, this itself is an exploration activity for us. We can basically try to understand what all these commands actually mean. Okay, out of which I will select this pause command. Okay, there was a pop-up, but that's fine. So using this pause command, I can stop the flow of execution for some duration. What duration I can specify here. Let's say we shall wait for 3 seconds. Okay. This number is in milliseconds. 3000 milliseconds is going to be 3 seconds. Okay. What I will do, wait for some time. I'm just giving a description for this command. You wait for some time. And what is that some time? 3 seconds. Okay. So now what will happen? It will open the browser. It will type the username and wait for 3 seconds. So what I will do is I also want to wait after I enter the password. Okay. So what I will do is I will simply, okay, there is no option to duplicate this command. Okay. Ideally there should have been. Okay, that's fine. We will add it once more. I will add a new command. I will select pause here. I will give the value as 3 seconds. Wait for some time. Okay. So this will basically, I have added 2 steps manually that will enable me to stop the execution for some time before proceeding to the next step. Now let me run it. See, now we can actually see the operations being performed here. Okay. So what we understand is this IDE, we can do both the things. We can record a step or we can add a step manually. Okay. All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm logging in into the application and closing it. Now let's say I want to do the complete operation. I want to log in and also log out. So what we can do is we can create one more test. Okay. Let us do one thing. Okay. Let me select this test, add a new test. Let's see if it allows me to add it. Test one. Okay. Let me start the recorder. Again, same operations I will do. Secret source login. Okay. And after login, I have to log out. So for logout, I need to first click on this button and then the logout link will appear. I will click on this logout. Okay. Login and logout. Both the features I have recorded. Let me close this, come back here and let me stop this. Okay. So it generated login test. and the second one is both login plus logout. Okay, let me run this now. Again, the same issue is happening. It is actually executing. I mean, it is working properly, but it is very fast. So what I will do is just before logout, I will add some wait time. Okay, first let me add it. Okay, it has to be logout. Okay, let me put it here. I just dragged and dropped it. Okay. So after I open that menu bar within which that logout link is present, I will wait for 3 seconds and then click on the logout link. Let me run it now. Login and logout. Okay. So this is how we can utilize this IDE for recording our test scenarios. Okay. And now let's say I have two test cases, right? I want to run both of them. So I can use this particular option, run all tests. Let me run it. First, it will only do the login scenario. And the second time it is doing the login plus logout scenario. Okay. I mean, this is working like a magic because it is a very simple flow. It is a practice application, which means there is no much difficulty or challenges in that application. Login should work very smoothly, and the scenario what we are testing is also very basic scenario, so everything is working fine. If I try to record a very complex scenario, like after login I will add a few items into the cart, go to the cart and again come back or remove some items, somewhere it might not work. These IDEs are prone to such issues. Sometimes they will work, sometimes they will not work. Okay. But nonetheless, this is a very useful tool to test some basic functionalities. Okay. So what else we can observe here? What we observed is we can actually insert a new command manually. Okay. What we also observed is for doing any operation on a particular item in a web application, those items we are calling as web elements, we need to have these locators. Selenium works in this way. Okay. So we need to have this address of that particular web element. And using this address, Selenium can actually do some operation. So what will be that operation? That will be provided by a command by us. Okay. Either it will be type or it will be click. Largely, these are the two operations we do. Okay. And here in this section, we can actually see the flow, what all has been executed. So this is like a report here, right? Or we can say at least it is like a execution flow, whatever is happening. And let's say if any of this particular step fails, it will highlight that step as well. Okay. So this IDE not only helps us to record the script, it also helps us to modify the script by adding some steps manually, by adding, I mean, by rearranging the steps, all those things. Okay. But one important thing that we have to start, thinking about is I recorded this script, I'm able to run it back, but what am I trying to validate here? Right, I'm doing the login, but how I am confirming that the login was successful? One way of confirming is I will sit in front of the machine and see while it is executing. Okay, it entered username, password, clicked on login button. Then I can say, okay, it entered into the home page. I could see that add to cart buttons. Then I can say, okay, this particular scenario was a successful execution. But that doesn't work in that way in automation. Even the validations have to be done by the script itself. Okay. So how to do those things within this IDE? Okay. So what I will do is I will create one more new test case. or let me name it as test with validations. This is a very important aspect of automation. Okay. In manual testing, who is validating the test? Whoever is executing the test, he himself will be validating it. In automation, we are basically writing a program to validate a scenario. So that program has to validate the things. It is not like I will write a program which will execute the flow and I will sit in front of the machine and validate it. Okay. So how to add the validations? So for that, again, let me start the recorder. Okay. First step I did is open this particular application. I can actually visually see it as open, but how to confirm it? To confirm it, I will basically validate this title. Swag Labs title has to appear. If this title is appearing, then I can say, okay, this open this particular application step has actually worked. How to do that validation? Right click, come to IDE and verify the title. When I click on this verify, you get to see a lot of options here. What I can see, I can see whether a particular element is present or not, whether it is selected or not, whether it is checked or not, if it is a checkbox, all those different types of validations we can do. But now I am interested in validating the title of this. So I will select this. And now I will enter the username, password. Okay. Click on this login button. So now I can say login is successful, but I need to add a validation here as well. So I can do any validation. Again, I can verify this title, but this I have already verified. So let me do one thing. I can verify this particular text here, this products. This product text will be visible only after successful login. So what I will do, I will again right click, select this one, verify this text. Okay. The title verification is different. Text verification is different. To make it more robust, I will add one more verification. So after login, not only this product's text will be visible, this add to cart buttons should also be visible. Okay. So what I will do, I will try to verify this one. Okay. See, this verify is there and there is something called as assert. And you can see, I mean, the options within this verify and the options within this assert both are exactly same. Then what is the difference between this verify and this assert? Okay. Verify will check whether that is present or not. If it is present, it is a pass. If it is not present, it is a fail. Okay. Assert will also do the same thing. It will verify these things. If it is present, pass. If it is not, fail. But this assert will stop the execution wherever it fails. Okay. And verify will not stop the execution. It will record that step as a failure step and it will continue the execution. That is the only difference. So now let me add this assert over here. And what I will add, I will see whether this particular thing is present or not. Okay. So three assertions I have put, three validations. On the first page, title validation. On the second page, a text validation and a element present or not validation. Now I will log out. Okay. After logout also, I need to put a verification. This is very important in automation. Okay. People usually check the validations for a positive scenario, but while coming back of the application, we need to verify whether logout was also successful or not. Right. So for that, maybe I can check whether this login button is present or not. Okay. I will put the assertion login button present. If this login button is not present, then the logout operation was not successful. Okay. Now let me close this, stop the recorder. Now you can see our test is a better test now. Okay. It is not just running the flow, it is actually verifying during the flow. I mean, while it is executing the flow, it is also verifying the flow here. After opening the application, it is verifying the title. After a login, it is verifying uh, a text and also an element presence. It is verifying. And after logout also, it is verifying an element present. Okay. So this will be the general flow for any automation script. Okay. So how we will do? We will either perform a navigation step or an action step. Okay. Navigation step is like go to a particular URL, go to a particular module or a page. That is a navigation step. Action step is like a login step, wherein we are actually doing 2, 3 operations as a one entity. Username entry, password entry, click on login button. This will be one action. Whenever you do either a navigation or an action step, you should follow it with a validation. Okay. This validation in automation, we call them as assertions. Okay. And now our script is having those assertions here. I'm doing a navigation step, following it by an assertion. I'm doing an action step, following it by an assertion. And again, I'm doing an action step, again following it by an assertion. Okay. Now let me run this. Everything is working fine here. Okay. Even our assertion steps have passed. Okay. So this is how anyone should be writing an automation script. Now, let's say I created some 50 tests like this. Okay. I can select this option to run all of them and I can just go for a walk. And after 10 minutes, I will come back and I will only see this part. Okay. Okay. I ran 50 test scripts. Out of 50, maybe 2 or 3 have failed. And why they have failed? Wherever it is failing, it will actually highlight it. Okay. Just to see that failure, what we can do is we can actually edit this one. Okay. So after login, we are validating this text products. Okay. Now I will change this text. Let's say cart. Instead of products, uh, I'm purposefully putting a different text so that it will fail at this particular point. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Okay. So if you can observe here, it has executed the entire flow and one particular step has failed. And as I was telling, this is the difference between a verify and an assert. Okay. This verify is actually testing whether that particular scenario is happening or not. If it is not happening, it is recording it as a failure, but still continuing the flow of the execution here. Okay. And if it is an assertion step, okay, and if this particular step fails, it will stop the execution at this step itself. Step number 11 will be the last step that is going to execute. Okay, so let me do that one also. Now what I will do, I will edit this address and change it. I am simply changing the locator. Okay, so that, or else what I should do is I will change it something like this. So now I know this address is a wrong address. So it is not going to find this element. So this particular step will fail. Now let's see what happens. See, you can see at, I mean, 10 will also fail, 11 also failed, but after 11, these have not executed here. Okay, so that will be the difference between a verify and a assertion. So in automation terminologies, this verify Selenium IDEs verify, we call it as a soft assertion. Okay. And same Selenium IDEs assert, we will be calling it as a hard assertion. Okay. So this soft assertion is also required in automation. Hard assertion is also required. Hard assertion we can put for a login scenario. If login itself is not successful, there is no point in continuing the flow. Okay. And let's say after login, I want to validate whether some 5 elements are present or not. In such case, I can put a soft assertion. I will validate all the 5 elements and see whether one of them is not present. Let's say out of 5, the second is not present, then still I will continue the test flow. I will check for the remaining 3 elements as well. Okay. So in such scenario, soft assertion will be used. In a particular scenario wherein I want to stop the execution flow, I can put a hard assertion. In Selenium IDE, we are calling them as verify and assert. Okay. When we start working with WebDriver, we will call them as soft assert and hard assert itself. Okay. This is the general terminology. All right. So this is how we will be basically, utilizing this IDE to create some basic scripts. These scripts, we call them as record and playback script. So Selenium IDE is a component in Selenium that helps us in creating these playback scripts. Okay. All right. So what else we can do is we created these test cases. Okay. And we are able to run them back. So now what I will do is, okay, I think, all right, 1 second, test suites, test. Okay, so observe this one. I will right click on any one test and I will click on this export. Let us do it for this one itself, okay, which contains our assertions as well. I will click on export. Now another window opened up wherein it is asking me to select a language. C sharp with N unit, C sharp with X unit, Java J unit, JavaScript Mocha, Python PyTest, Ruby RSpec. These are the languages we can use to work with Selenium. Okay. So now I mean by default it is selecting Java plus JUnit. What else I can do is include origin tracing code comments. Okay, let me include this. Include step description as a separate comment. Okay. Okay, this I will not select and I will click on this export. Okay. Test with validations test is the name that is this giving, whatever the test name I have given. Let me save it. Okay, it downloaded this particular script now. Let me open it. Okay, so this is the beauty of this IDE. Or maybe let me open it in another editor. Okay, let me open with this one. Okay, this is more readable. Whatever the recording we did, that tool IDE has actually written the script for us on itself. Okay, it is not as simple as we look on this IDE. This is, for anyone who doesn't know how to code, right? But whoever is able to code, they will be able to follow this structure, right? There is something called as an import statements. Okay, then there is something called as a class. There is a class name, and within that there are some other entries here. There are some methods. Okay. And this is the test which is present here. And what is there in this step? This is the first step I'm doing here. Go to this particular URL. Okay. Then I'm resetting the window size. Then I'm doing an assertion. Okay. Title assertion. And then what I'm doing, I'm finding an element using this locator. After finding the element, I'm clicking on it. Right. Same thing is happening here as well. I'm finding the element and now I need to type something, right? So what is type? Send keys is the type command. Type is what that is, for us to understand. But what Selenium will understand, it will understand this one. Okay. Similarly, the two steps are happening for password text box. Click login. Then I'm doing one assertion, a text assertion. Okay. And then I'm doing one element assertion. Element is present or not. Then I'm doing this logout operation. Again, I'm doing an element assertion. Then I'm closing the browser, right? So this is the background code that is actually making the things happen. Although we have not written this code, Selenium IDE has, written this code for us, and using this code only it is doing all the stuffs. Okay. So when we start learning Selenium WebDriver, this is what we will be learning. How to click on an element, how to type on an element, how to get the text of an element, okay, how to do an element verification. All these things is what we will be learning when we start learning Selenium WebDriver. Okay, and let's say we understood what to do if I want to read a text from a web element. To read a text from a web element, I first have to get this web element, right? This is where we, land up in a situation wherein we have to locate that element. We have to identify that element. That is when we will have to use these locators. Okay. So what are the different ways in which we can locate the elements? That is one study in Selenium WebDriver. Element identification. There are some 8 to 10 different options using which we can locate an element. So we will learn all those things. And if you observe all these steps, there is something common which is called as driver, right? So what is this driver? If you remember whatever I explained yesterday, okay, Selenium uses something called as drivers to drive the automation. Okay, that is exactly what is present here. And where is it getting created? It is getting created here. What type of driver I'm using? I'm using a Firefox driver. The browser that I'm working is a Firefox browser. Driver has to be a Firefox driver. If I was working on a Chrome browser, driver would have been a Chrome driver. If I was working on a Safari browser, Safari driver would have been there. But this driver is very important for us. We will first create a driver, and using this driver only we will execute all our further actions in Selenium. Okay. So this is the Selenium WebDriver part, but what else we can observe here is all this syntax. There is something called as public class. There is this bracket opening up. Okay. We have written one line and at the end of the line there is this semicolon, right? We are seeing all these import things. All these things is happening because we are following the programming language Java. Okay. If we use any other programming language, then this particular syntax would be slightly different. Okay. But whatever the code is written here, it is written in Java language. So that is the significance of Java. If you want to work with Selenium, and if you want to tell Selenium to click on an element, first thing you have to do is you have to locate that element. Okay. After locating the element, you need to tell Selenium, go to this element and click on it. And what will be the language in which you will tell to Selenium? It will be Java, or it will be Python, or it will be Ruby, whatever it is. These are the languages that Selenium will understand. Okay, so that is why we need to first learn a programming language so that we can start communicating with Selenium. Once we learn the programming language, we need to learn what are the different commands or options that we can utilize in Selenium. Okay, and that is how we will be progressing. So what else we can see is that was a Java code, right? Now let me create a Python code, or let me create a Java code without any comments. Okay, let me open this one. See, all these lines which are starting with this double forward slash, these are comment lines. If I run this program, these lines will not be executed. These lines are only for us programmers to understand what this particular step is doing. What steps will be executed are only these steps, which are not starting with this double forward slash. Okay, so I created the same code without these comments. It will look something like this. Only this much is the executable code. And this is what we will have to write in order to work with Selenium. Okay, by the end of this course, each one of us would be writing such code in Java. Okay, all this is Java code. Okay, this entire thing is Java code. So we will first understand what do we mean by this import, what is this static, what do we mean by this public class, what is the meaning of private, okay, and what is this structure. All these things we will learn by going through the Java sessions. Once we are comfortable with it, we will go to the Selenium WebDriver and start understanding these commands. What are the different commands that we can use in WebDriver? How to use them? Where to use them? Okay. That is what we will be learning in this entire course. Okay. And this IDE is, as I said, I mean, most and many of you might be thinking, if it is doing all this task for us, then why to learn Java? Why to learn WebDriver? Why we have to go through that rigorous process? Answer is very simple. This IDE is not a very powerful component. It will help us to record a basic scenario. A very complex scenario or a complete end-to-end automation is not possible through this tool. Okay. Let's say we have around 500 test cases to be automated. If I start recording all those 500 test cases, maybe it will, you know, it will basically, crash itself. It will not be able to sustain that much of load. Okay. So that is why we have to go to this particular WebDriver and write our test scripts using Java. And then we can basically create any number of tests and start executing them. Okay. Just to showcase, I will create the Python code as well. Okay. This is created now. Let me just open it. Okay. And if you observe, more or less, they are identical. Click is still there. Send keys is still there. This section is again similar. Okay. What is changing? A little bit of syntax is changing. There are some imports and there are some from statements. There is a class, something like this. In Java, it was public class. In Python, simply class. Okay. And these are the methods, but more or less you can find the similarities. That is why learning the first programming language is going to be difficult. But once you learn the one programming language, the next programming language is very easy to learn. All that you have to do is you have to start comparing between the languages. Okay, in Java, I will write a class in this way. In Python, okay, it is it has to be written in that way. That comparison only you will have to make. Okay. So if you learn any one programming language, it is as good as you can follow any other programming language. Okay. But eventually, we should be able to write the code in this way. That is going to be the agenda of this entire course. Okay. So I would recommend you people start using this IDE. Just play around with these options. Try adding some commands here manually, manual intervention of commands, and try to run them back. Okay. I used a practice website. Maybe you people can use some other website. Maybe you can try with the Google one, Gmail one. Okay. Or any other website, whatever you people often use. Try to record some basic scenarios with them. After recording, try to generate the code. Just right click and export. Okay. Once you export, you can simply open it in a notepad as well. Need not be any editor for now. And try to understand these, whatever you can understand. Okay. Click is click. Type is send keys. Assertion will look something like this. Okay. So this is what you people have to deal with going forward. So you can start looking into these things for now. Okay. So this was about this Selenium's IDE. Okay. As I said, this component comes with UI, easy to use, but it is not so efficient. Another component is there in Selenium, which doesn't come with the UI, but that is very efficient. That is Selenium WebDriver. Okay. And whenever you work in a real-time project, you won't be using this IDE. Okay. This IDE is, as I said, maybe for a demo purpose, just to showcase to someone how Selenium works, you can use this one. But when you actually get into any automation activity, you will have to rely on this WebDriver. Okay. And this is what is our course as well. And as you people already know, we have to first learn Java. Only then we can work with Selenium. Okay. So from tomorrow onwards, we will start looking into the Java. Okay. So we will learn Java, how to understand a Java program, how to write a Java program, and then we will get into the Selenium things here. Any questions so far? Able to follow? Any doubts, any queries so far? No questions?
No, sir.
Or everything is a question? All right, so this is just the beginning. So I actually showed you the end product. Okay, so this is what we will be writing by the end of this course. But Selenium IDE will do these things for us. Okay, try exploring this IDE. I used it in Firefox. Maybe you people can try on Edge browser as well. Okay, but don't stress much in understanding this code. If you are able to follow, then well and good. If not able to follow, then no worries. We will have to first learn Java in order to understand all these things. Okay. All right, so let us stop for today. And tomorrow we will get started with the Java topic. Okay. So we will start looking into what is Java, when it started, what are the advantages of Java, what are its important characteristics, all that history we will see, and we will start the coding as well. Okay. All right. So let us stop for today. And again, tomorrow we will have the session at 7 a.m. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.